What's up, Vegas, my online listeners? I'm so excited to announce my new live radio talk show, The Jamie D Show. If you don't know who I am, well, that's about to change. I'm an actor seen on several TV shows and movies across TV One, Oxygen, the ID channel, and Netflix. I've been on several billboards across the world, I've done several commercials, and I've been heard live on several different major radio shows. Now it's my turn to do my own thing. So get ready for eye-opening discussions, mind-bending debates, entertainment news from all over, and gripping stories that'll make you question, reflect, and call into the show. I'll be covering entertainment, pop culture, social issues, and more. I'll also have an incredible lineup of celebrities, industry experts, and fascinating individuals from all walks of life. The Jamie D Show starts June 6th and will be every Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. until 11 a.m. PST, live on KSHP AM 1400 and 107.1 FM. You can also stream my show live on KSHP.com. Let's make magic, Vegas.
Hi, I'm Coach Harvey High, and every Thursday night at 6:05 p.m., we have our college football report show, which means we talk college football year-round, not only college football, but all sports right here on AM 1400 on your dial, all the things that are happening behind the scenes that sometimes you don't really understand. Football report Thursday evenings at 6:05 p.m. here on AM 1400 KSHP Radio. Now you remember to buckle up and ride along with us every Thursday night with College Football Report.
The world-famous radio shopping show weekday on 1400 KSHP North Las Vegas and KSHP.com.
It's time for the most interactive radio program in Las Vegas today. It's time for Pushing the Limits with Brian Shapiro. Brian will talk sports, politics, entertainment, and anything that matters to you. Feel free to call Brian at 702-221-7283.
You want answers? I want the truth!
Now, Pushing the Limits, here's Brian Shapiro.
What's up, everybody? Happy Hump Day, happy Wednesday. It is Pushing the Limits. Thank you so much for joining us. Fellow buffoons, no right-wing buffoonery on this show, I promise you that. There might be some buffoonery, but it won't be right-wing buffoonery. That's right. We got some great guests lined up for you today. Man, I love this guy. He's like the cool grandpa I never had. The former mayor of Las Vegas, Oscar Goodman, is going to be joining us at the bottom of the hour. The guy knows a thing or two about indictments. He's dealt with a few of them in his life. When it comes to the mob, and yeah. Oscar, we're going to ask him a little bit about these Trump indictments and what does he think about all this construction in Las Vegas. We'll talk about that, too, coming up at the bottom of the hour with Oscar Goodman. Can't wait to talk to him. Hour number 2, Ron Futrell, Channel 8 Sports, going to be joining us. I mean, is it possible to watch an NFL football game without worrying about getting beat up? You hear this story about this Patriots game on Sunday where this fan died and there was a physical altercation. It's like, what is going on in the world where you can't even watch a game without getting into it with somebody? It's wild and crazy stuff, man. We'll get to that in hour number 2, talk some Raiders football as well. I do want to start off this story, or I should say start off the show with this story on a positive note and give kudos to Metro Police as I texted Kevin McMahill, the sheriff, and congratulated him on this, that they have found the passenger who was filming and cackling while his buddy struck and killed a man riding his bike. You know, this story that the video went viral. Happy to announce that the unnamed suspect, who was also a juvenile, was taken into the Clark County Detention Center yesterday. So this is really, really good news, and kudos going to the Las Vegas Metro Police Department who found this 17-year-old. I believe he's 17. And hopefully, my understanding is he's going to be treated as an adult as well and charged as an adult. So kudos to the Metro Police Department for great police work and catching that disgusting animal. But I want to start off the show today and talk to you about right-wing misinformation and how once again it was tied to this story and how once again people went after an RJ reporter. Why? Because Elon Musk shared something that was not true, right-wing misinformation, and a reporter at the RJ has been receiving death threats so on and so forth, because of right-wing idiots and buffoons, right-wing a-holes out there that spread misinformation, and I'm tired of it. So let me give you a little bit of background on what I'm talking about. So when this retired police chief, Probst, was killed, and just a horrible story, and my heart goes out to his family. I spoke to his daughter, and she will join us on the show eventually. They're still grieving and mourning. So Las Vegas Review-Journal crime reporter Sabrina Schooner, who I think is a really good reporter, by the way. I don't think I know it. I read her articles. I think she's very, very good at what she does. And trust me, I wouldn't say that about everybody at the RJ, but she's a very good reporter. She was the first journalist to arrive on the scene after this crash. This is way before anything went viral. Nobody knew what happened. She was the first reporter to show up on the scene. She was also the first local reporter to speak to the Probst family. And she was the reporter who instructed a source with video footage of the killing to go to the police. She's the reporter, and without her, maybe these two animals are never arrested. I want you to think about that for a moment. And she's the one and the reasoning behind one of the main reasons why these two were arrested. You get what I'm saying? She spoke to somebody who found the video footage online, and she convinced that person to go to police, which they did. So kudos to this reporter. Sabrina's a really good reporter. Despite all of her work in the death of documenting Probst's death, she became the target of anti-Semitic attacks and death wishes as social media users questioned why the media wasn't properly covering this attack, which, by the way, makes absolutely no sense because it was all over social media and all over the media on every national network, including even TMZ. And screenshots, I guess, of this obituary sparked outrage because of the headline. They assumed the Review-Journal was downplaying Probst's death, which, by the way, they weren't. The obituary originally ran on August 18th. The headline was, "Retired Police Chief Killed in Bike Crash Remembered for Laugh, Love of Coffee." Now, at that point, police didn't know that this was an intentional killing. Didn't know that. 13 days later, on August 31st, a source approached Schooner with a video. And that's when she convinced that person to take it to Metro Police, which that person did. But when this video went viral over the weekend, social media users shared screenshots of the old obituary, taking issue with the phrase bike crash. Schooner's inbox and social media mentions were filled with personal attacks and accused her of being anti-white, which is, again, absolutely absurd. People on social media shared her photo and made anti-Semitic comments. This obviously circulated her office. Her phone number was given out on social media. People hoping that she would get cancer. I'm not making this stuff up. People hoping this woman would die, who, by the way, did nothing wrong. In fact, did the opposite of that, did everything right. Covered the story, helped Metro Police get their hands on a video. People found her private social media accounts and even dug through her Twitter, posts that she made as a teenager, going back as far as 2015. And then, on Sunday morning, the right-wing buffoon himself on Twitter, Elon Musk, amplified one of these screenshots of hate speech, posting, "An innocent man was murdered in cold blood while riding his bicycle. The killers joked about it on social media, yet where is the media outrage? Now you begin to understand the lie." Elon Musk pushing forth with his huge platform more propaganda and right-wing nonsense. That post had 68 million views as of Monday evening. 68 million. The Review Journal's social media accounts and other staff also received vicious attacks for no reason, other than that moron, right-wing fool, Elon Musk, and others on the far right pushing false narratives about the Review Journal, about this reporter, and about how the media isn't covering it, which was a lie. When Schooner shared that she'd received 700 notifications on Twitter with an onslaught of angry emails and voicemails, editors had to jump in to support her and make sure she was safe, which was obviously the right thing to do. Executive editor Glenn Cook said that during his 30-plus years in journalism, he's never seen a volume or intensity of hate speech like this before. Editors had to change the August 18th obituary headline. You see, ladies and gentlemen, this is what happens when you spread right-wing misinformation. Let's be very clear on this. Elon Musk is an idiot. Anybody on the far right, and there were many of them that were pushing lies about how the media wasn't covering this or about how this reporter was anti-white. And by the way, boy, am I shocked that people on the far right were making hateful anti-Semitic remarks. Why is it always people on the right? Jews will not replace us, blood and soil. Those aren't liberals. That's not Antifa. Those aren't Democrats. Those are far-right extremist white supremacists. That's who they are. And you got these idiots like Charlie Kirk and all these other morons like Candace Owens and these far-right a-holes that are saying the media didn't cover this story when it couldn't be further from the truth. Every national network has covered this story. Every local network has covered this story. Every radio show has covered this story, including this one, in reporting the facts. Not one person has defended this murder, this premeditated murder. But yet, if you listen to some of these right-wing idiots and these morons with huge platforms like Elon Musk, they would lead you to believe, because it was two black people committing this crime against a white person, that's why the media is not covering it, and it is the biggest farce lie of it all. And what happens when you spread lies like that? You have innocent reporters like Sabrina at the RJ that are getting death threats. That's how innocent people die. They already had a reporter at the RJ that was murdered for different reasons, but you get my point. Far right-wing propaganda lies. Misinformation leads to death threats. And it could lead to people getting hurt or even people getting killed. And it has to stop. And this is the leader of X, Twitter, whatever the hell it's called now. And this isn't the first time that Elon Musk has done this before. There's been plenty of times in the past where he spread right-wing propaganda. Remember the Paul Pelosi hammer incident? Where these idiots out there like Elon Musk and Ted Cruz and these right-wing buffoons out there that were spreading misinformation about that violent attack that almost took Paul Pelosi's life. And they were saying that it was some sort of gay relationship. Shocker that far people on the right are attacking people for being gay and making up lies. They said it was some sort of gay relationship and the attacker was let in there and it was a relationship gone bad. There were elected officials that were spreading that nonsense. Now, obviously that wasn't true. I knew it wasn't true when they said it, and it wasn't true after the investigation went public. Did anybody on the right apologize for that? Did anybody on the right say, geez, I had it really wrong? I don't always agree with Nancy Pelosi and her husband, but I'm really sorry I spread right-wing propaganda, misinformation about that attack. No. Not one far-right idiot apologized for that misinformation. Not one. Do you think anybody's going to apologize to this reporter here at the RJ? Think anybody's going to say, geez, Sabrina, I'm really sorry. Turns out you did your due diligence and you did a great job reporting on this. And in fact, you are part of the reason why police made these arrests and got their hands on that video of the live stream of the murder. No, none of these right-wing idiots are going to apologize. Elon Musk isn't going to apologize. Geez, I'm really sorry. The media did cover this story. Of course they won't do that. Why is it always people on the far right? Gets me so angry. This is a reporter who did a good job. I don't like some of the people at the RJ. I am very honest about that. I think some of their not all, some of their sports reporters are a joke. Some of their political reporters are morons. Mike Jocks or whatever the hell his name is. That guy is a complete clown. But Sabrina is a really good reporter. She does a good job with no opinions, just facts. She was the first person on the scene. She's the first person to talk to this poor guy who lost his life, the first person to talk to their family. She's the main reason why police got their hands on this video that has gone viral. And these people on the right want to attack her and anti-Semitic death threats and you name it. It's disgusting. It's repulsive. And as far as I'm concerned, these people on social media that are doing this stuff should go to jail. But you won't hear. You won't hear it. Now, the reporter who was murdered, Jeff Germain, I think I'm pronouncing his name right. I always get it wrong. That was a horrible situation. These people on the far right will be the first person to say, oh, it was a Democrat that did, like it matters. It was a Democrat that did that. But then when it comes to this stuff, they're a part of the problem. Spreading misinformation. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to play you a clip from Hannity yesterday. Hannity had one of those voodoo doctors on his show, a voodoo doctor that makes appearances on Fox News speaking out against the vaccinations. By the way, not an infectious disease doctor, spreading out, talking out against the vaccines. Why? Well, he's got a book out, this voodoo doctor. I'm not even going to say his name because I don't want to give him credit for anything. A voodoo doctor that makes appearances on Fox News on Sean Hannity's show, spreading misinformation about the vaccines. Listen to what this voodoo doctor, piece of human garbage, said about the vaccines. Blatant medical misinformation on Sean Hannity's show last night. Listen to this.
I think most people in the United States recognize that the safety of these vaccines is certainly unlike flu, which they always try and pair it with and compare it to. But this is a very different type of medication, and it's an unsafe medication. I mean, it's really unfortunate that this is what so many Americans have been persuaded to take.
How could we ever trust people that, like Joe Biden, if you get the vaccine, you're never going to get COVID? If you get the vaccine,
I think
you lying. Notice how Sean Hannity allowed him to spread that medical misinformation. An unsafe medication. More than half the world has been vaccinated. With every vaccination, there's going to be some side effects with a small percentage of people. That guy who calls himself a doctor just said the vaccines are an unsafe medication. That is a blatant medical misinformation. As a whole, the vaccines are very safe. As I mentioned, more than half the world takes the vaccinations. But if you listen to right-wing idiots like Sean Hannity, they give these people platforms like this. If you listen to Wayne Allen Kook, he'll go on the air every day and say that millions of people are dying from the vaccinations, and somehow program directors and general managers of those radio stations allow him to say these things. The guy who gets a cease and assist letter for claiming he had a pill that cured COVID is allowed to be on the airwaves here in Las Vegas, and the program director and general manager are okay with that. Welcome to right-wing radio, ladies and gentlemen. Right-wing echo chamber radio. Voodoo doctors that, if they're not talking about demon sperm, make appearances on Sean Hannity's show as they're trying to make a name for themselves on social media and sell books that I would use as toilet paper, are allowed to go on Fox News and say that the vaccines are an unsafe medication, and somehow Fox News allows that to happen, unless they get sued. I mean, folks, you see where I'm getting at here? You see where I'm getting at here? This is disgusting. And when they spread this medical misinformation, or when they spread misinformation about an RJ reporter who did a good job covering the story, and the death threats come and the anti-Semitic comments come, and Elon Musk decides to tweet something that is misinformation, you never get an apology. Geez, I was wrong. You know what? Misinformation. I was wrong. I should have known better. There are people that said Muslims attacked us on October 1. We're approaching again the anniversary of October 1. Wayne Allen Kook said that that Muslims were responsible for the October 1 shooting. Did he ever say, geez, I am so sorry, I shouldn't have said that? Of course not. He blamed it on misinformation from one of his police officer friends, never owned it and apologized and said, I was wrong, I'm so sorry. These right-wing idiots never apologize for anything unless they're absolutely forced to, like a Lauren Hobart, who the following day after this Beetlejuice scandal, when she was basically performing a sexual act to her date, the next day lied, said she wasn't vaping, she wasn't doing the things that clearly you could see she was doing on video. And then after she was caught red-handed, when the video circulated ever online, then she was forced to apologize. That's the only time you'll never hear these idiots apologize. The only time you'll ever hear them apologize for anything. There have been some moments where Joe Biden said some things that I completely disagreed with. It was wrong. I remember when he did the Breakfast Club morning show. And he said, you ain't black if you're not voting for me. Inappropriate thing to say. He was surrounded by black people on a morning show. I think he was probably trying to be a little bit funny. It was inappropriate. It was wrong. What did Joe Biden do? He apologized. I'm sorry. Didn't mean it that way. I apologize. I shouldn't have said that. That's what a decent human being does when they know they made a mistake. They don't apologize when they have to or when they're forced to. They apologize and they own it when they say or do something wrong. That's what makes us decent human beings. We're all not perfect. We all make mistakes. I feel like I apologize to people every single day. When was the last time you heard Donald Trump apologize for anything? Geez, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have said that. Almost never. Even when he was on tape saying, grab him by the P word, he had a forced apology and then he retracted his apology and said, maybe that wasn't me on that tape. Folks, I'm not making this stuff up. These people on the far right and the extreme right never apologize for anything. Imagine, for a moment, imagine if your loved one was attacked with a hammer, just got out of surgery. And because people don't agree with your political ideology, they come up with lies and said, that was a gay relationship. You let that person in. And while you're praying that your loved one makes it out alive, out of surgery, you have to deal with the thousands and thousands and thousands of right-wing idiots on social media and on television, and even politicians like Ted Cruz that are retweeting, or Elon Musk of the world, that are coming up with conspiracy theories about your loved one that are blatantly false. Any of those people ever apologize? Did they ever say they were wrong? Geez, I shouldn't have said that. I should have waited until more information came out. I shouldn't have just listened to Charlie Kirk, who went to Northern Arizona University yesterday, by the way, and was flipped off and screamed at and called a fascist, because he is. Great job by the Republicans, by the way. That's a great way to get Gen Z votes. Let's get Charlie Kirk, the white supremacist sympathizer himself, touring college campuses. It's interesting because even though I'm not a big fan of our vice president, she went to 3 colleges in the last week. She wasn't booed. Gen Z seems to like her a lot more than somebody like a Charlie Kirk, the uneducated white supremacist fool, Charlie Kirk. Is that the Republicans' idea of how to get the Gen Z vote? If it is, it's probably not a very good idea. Just my personal opinion. Probably not a very good idea. This is why I say over and over and over again, misinformation, whether it be medical misinformation from some voodoo sperm doctor on Sean Hannity's show, or misinformation about how a reporter covered a story, in this case right here in Las Vegas, is dangerous. Just ask Sabrina over there at RJ how she felt about all the anti-Semitic remarks, the disgusting remarks, and the death threats that she received for doing nothing wrong. In fact, doing the opposite, doing everything right, helping Metro Police get these 2 suspects. Misinformation. And then you hear from these morons, I did my own research. What, watching Alex Jones? I did my own research. What, going on Twitter, listening to Charlie Kirk? I did my own research. I watched 2,000 Mules, you frickin' morons. You dopes. Bird for brains. How many stupid people are in society that'll watch a movie from that felon, Dinesh D'Souza, 2,000 Mules? Oh, the election was stolen. How stupid are you? How dumb are you as a human being to watch a film like that, which has been debunked every which way, and say, oh, just look at 2,000 Mules. I heard Donald Trump talk about it. The election was stolen. You stupid idiots. I'm glad that there are some sane people out there, some semi-intelligent people out there that don't believe this nonsense. And I am so sorry for this reporter at the RJ that's had to deal with this. And I would love to talk to her. And I will get her on the show to talk about this, because she deserves to be heard. And as far as I'm concerned, the way she covered this story, she's a hero. But no, not by the far righties out there. You'll never hear an apology from them. Never. Not once. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break, switch topics when we come back. I love this guy. He knows a thing or two about indictments. He's been in a few trials. Of course, I'm talking about the former mayor of Las Vegas. Love him to death. Oscar Goodman's going to be joining us next, ladies and gentlemen. Can't wait to talk to him. Take a quick break. Be back right after this. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Everybody, Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits here. I want to tell you guys about my good friends at the Postal Annex. They have a notary signing agent on site daily, no appointment needed, and they offer a full scale of printing services, from shipping labels to documents, business cards, banners, photos, and business signage. They're your passport service headquarters. They offer passport photos, and they can renew your adult passports. If you're traveling in a hurry, they can get those passports to you within 7 days or less. Mailbox rentals with a physical street address, and they also receive your packages from Amazon, UPS, FedEx, USPS, and more. Here's the best part. If you're a Pushing the Limits listener, they have an introductory rate of only $39 for a 3-month service. You can't beat it. Give them a call, 702-873-8005. Check them out at 6130 West Flamingo Road. It's the Postal Annex. Tell them I sent you.
Buying or selling a home is a huge life event that requires guidance from an expert in the industry and community. My name is Blake Wynn. You may recognize my name as my grandfather was the best governor the state of Nevada has ever had. Growing up in Las Vegas, I've come to know this community intricately. Now, I am raising a family here as well, so I understand all the issues impacting our home and quality of life. As the top realtor for the #1 real estate team at Keller Williams, you can have confidence in my experience, knowledge, and track record. When it comes to buying, selling, or investing in real estate, choose a name you can trust and someone who understands the community you call home. Call Blake Wynn today and experience the difference of a trusted expert. 702-540-3311.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams and treatments such as testosterone enhancement and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices, office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client, so please give them a call, 702-248-0554.
Is your dog suffering from a sensitive stomach? Hi, it's Kelly the Cookie Lady from Mooch's Munchies. Our dogs had super sensitive tummies, and I needed to find a low-fat treat that wouldn't give them gas or other issues. Most of the treats on the market were loaded with fillers, chemicals, and chicken fat. Many of them weren't even food. Well, I knew I could do better, so I developed Mooch's Munchies, and I'm happy to be able to share them with you. Stop by our store or our website, moochesmunchies.com, and find out why we say that Mooch's Munchies are totally pawsome.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us. We got Ron Futrell coming up, hour number 2. I got to say, these days, there's not many politicians that I like very much. You know, and I have some good friends in this town, people that I admire and certainly I respect very much. And the guy we have on the line with us right now is certainly no exception to that. I love him. He's like the cool grandpa I never had. And I don't see him as much as I used to around town. I love former mayor of Las Vegas. I love his wife as well, but I love a little Oscar Goodman, and it's been a little while since he joined us on the show. And it's certainly a pleasure having him back. The former mayor, Oscar Goodman, joining us right now. Oscar, it is always a pleasure, my friend. How you doing, sir?
I couldn't be better. Life is beautiful, and it's beautiful to live in Las Vegas, and it's great counting you amongst my friends. And I'm just enjoying each and every day. When Carolyn and myself leave the house in the morning to do our respective thing during the day, we say to each other, carpe diem. And that means seize the day, because we squeeze out every single possible moment to make each day count, to enjoy it, to accomplish something, to do a little bit of good. And it's so nice that you have me on your show.
Oh, I always appreciate it when you come on, Oscar. You know that. You know, you're one of those people that you just enjoy life with your wife, right? I mean, there's not too many mayors out there that have a martini in their hand and then their arm around a beautiful showgirl, and you are always that guy, and you still are that guy. Why is it you think that there are so many people in office today in general that are so reserved? Why do you think that is? What are they afraid of?
I really think that they're misanthropic. I think that they don't like things. The only thing I can wish for those people is that they're married or have a partner that is as misanthropic as they are, because they'll aggravate each other to death. My wife is completely positive. I like to think I'm completely positive, and we have sort of an ethos about us that we're second chance people, but not when it comes to each other.
I love it.
You better toe the line, and you better do the right thing, or else you lose respect for another person. And once that respect is lost, then everything is lost.
I agree. I couldn't have said it any better. I agree with you. I want to ask you, you know a thing or two about indictments. I know you're not necessarily...
I have to say so. The only good thing is I haven't experienced one.
No, that is a good thing. You're right about that. But with your experience in law, what do you make of these 4 indictments? I never really asked you this, that Donald Trump is facing. Do you think he's in real legal trouble, or do you think this is a political witch hunt? Where are you on the fence when it comes to this stuff, and what do you make of these 4 separate indictments?
Well, Brian, you know, I had a sort of an unwritten rule when I was actively practicing law that I wasn't going to talk about somebody else's case. Mm-hmm. Because unless you're sitting there with the client, unless you're in court, unless you know who the judge is, unless you know whether the prosecutor was playing golf on Sunday while you were studying and doing your homework to start picking a jury on Monday, these are things that are really very, very sensitive. So I can't tell you the political aspects of this. All I know is that there are a lot of people who feel very strongly about those indictments, and they're going to have to one day resolve their position after they hear all of the evidence in the case. And I'm not trying to be simplistic about it, but until that happens, I don't think any of us have the right, to be quite frank with you, to pontificate about it. We can have our own individual opinions and keep them to ourselves, but to start trying to influence the public as to whether or not the indictment was warranted, wasn't warranted, whether there's going to be a conviction and acquittal. I know that when I was actively practicing, I was sitting in a hotel room up in Boston with Carolyn. I was representing Vinnie Ferrara of the Patriarch of Crime family. And we were there unpacking our bags, and I got a phone call while the television was on, and watching out of one eye, I saw the white Suburban going down the highways in L.A. and said, wow, this is really something. I never saw a chase like this. And then I heard that it was O.J. that was being chased, and on the phone was a fellow who represented himself to be the agent of O.J., and they said they wanted to hire me to come out and back to Los Angeles and to represent him. They were ready to send me a retainer of $25,000 to get me started. And I told them there's no way in the world I could do that, because that's when I had my issues as far as a contempt, where I refused to turn over to the government certain files and records that I had in my law office. And I said, until I take care of my own problems, I can't take care of anybody else's. So it put me in a unique position on that one, because I had some familiarity with the lawyers in the case. I knew Bob Shapiro, I knew Johnny Cochran, and I knew that O.J. had a little bit of the best of it, believe it or not, when they moved the case from Westwood down to the center city of Los Angeles. And I said to myself, they'll never convict this guy. They'll never get 12 people who will find him guilty beyond a reasonable doubt with that kind of jury veneer that they're going to get in downtown. And in a sense, I think the same is going to be applicable on this situation as far as President Trump is concerned, because I think it's going to be very, very, very tough with all the jury experts, with all the questionnaires, to look inside the souls and the hearts and the minds of the 12 people who will be sitting in judgment. And it's hard for me to think that based on the strong feelings one way or another as to the former president, whether or not they're going to get, number one, the truth from a potential juror, or number two, a juror is not going to follow the judge's instructions and may come back with a verdict which people might be surprised with. And I applied that. I was on Geraldo Rivera's show, and it was the day before the jury was supposed to return the verdict, and Gloria Allred was on the panel as well, and we were battling it out. And I said, I bet everybody here that this man's going to be found, if not guilty, it's going to be a hung jury. And they laughed. They thought it was so funny. If the judge don't fit, you won't acquit, that kind of stuff. And I said, no, I'm telling you, this guy will never be convicted of that offense.
You're right.
Not going to court in downtown L.A., and even Geraldo laughed a little bit, but I was right, and it wasn't whether he was guilty of the facts. It doesn't work that way. Right. The only guilty there would be is if a jury returns a verdict of guilty.
Oscar, and you're so right. Oscar, you're so right, because you make a great point. All it takes is one juror, a big O.J. Simpson fan, or in this case, one MAGA supporter, one huge Donald Trump supporter that isn't going to listen to the facts and just is not going to say guilty. That's all it takes. It's got to be beyond a reasonable doubt. You're 100% right. On a side note, I never knew that you were asked to represent O.J. Simpson. If you don't mind me asking, after that police chase, how long after that did somebody reach out to you and say, we want you to represent O.J. Simpson?
No, it was taking place. I got the phone call while the police chase was taking place.
Oh, my God. That's unbelievable. So you're telling me while it's on national television, somebody that represents O.J.? Oh, my God. That's unbelievable.
Well, my wife and myself were unpacking the bag because I had to be in court the next day for Vinny. And I saw this on TV, and then I heard it was O.J. Now, I'm not going to say he would have hired me, but I'm just telling you that I got a phone call telling me to come out, and I told him I can't do that, offering me, $25,000 isn't chicken feed, $25,000 to talk about the case, but never got to that point, and I knew he was in excellent hands. The first attorney who was called was Howard Weitzman.
Right.
And if your listeners remember the DeLorean case, Howard was the attorney for DeLorean, and DeLorean was the inventor of the DeLorean automobile, and was charged with some very serious drug cases. And Howard got an acquittal when everything looked like it was going to go against his client. He got the first call. I got the second call, supposedly, and then Bob Shapiro got the third call.
That's unbelievable. Have you ever ran into O.J. Simpson here in Las Vegas? He's been here for a while.
I haven't. I haven't, and I felt that, and this is one that people don't like it when I say it, but I felt that when he received that 17-year sentence or whatever he got for basically what was at most a misdemeanor, because it was the payback that he wasn't found guilty on the murder. I thought that may have been one of the greatest miscarriages of justice.
Oscar, let me tell you, you and I agree, and we think the same. I took a lot of flack for saying that as well. While I think he was responsible for that double murder, there is no question, in my personal opinion, there was retribution. What took place here in Las Vegas, you're so right. If that was you or me, we would have got probation.
The stars align all the time. It's like Mike Tyson. He may not have had the right kind of lawyer when the charge that he faced up in Indiana, in Indianapolis. He had a good lawyer, maybe a great lawyer, but for that particular case, it may have not been the right kind of lawyer, and it interrupted his disease. It always. I'm not an expert on sexual assaults, but it seemed to me from the evidence that I read in the newspaper, which is not evidence, and may all have been false, that whatever took place there took place consensually. So you never know unless you're right in the middle of it and the thick of things.
Agreed.
That's why I don't like to give my opinion.
No, I understand. I understand.
What's going to happen?
I totally understand that. If you're just joining us, the former mayor of Las Vegas, Oscar Goodman. All right, Oscar, speaking of being in the middle of it, I have to be honest, while I love the fact that F1 is coming to Las Vegas, I've said a lot of F words in my car because of all the construction and the traffic. I think it's the worst it's ever been. And listen, I understand why, right? You got the F1 coming to town. It's great for the economy. It's going to be a huge boost to the city. It's all wonderful. But Oscar, I think you'd agree with me. The construction's a little bit out of control. What do you make of all that?
Well, I agree with my wife. They wanted to have the F1 go through the city of Las Vegas. And almost like with the COVID thing. She says, no, it will disrupt everything that's taking place for these small businesses. There won't be any reparation, so to speak, if they're losing money and they could go out of business. And I don't want it in the city of Las Vegas. If you want it in the county, that's your problem. And I agree with her 100%.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as you know better than anybody, it's a huge boost to the economy. I can't believe. What do you think of what they're charging for certain tickets? Like, I saw prices $6,000, $10,000 to be in certain places with an open bar and free food on the strip. What do you make of some of these prices? It's crazy.
What I make is I'd like to know the people who are buying it because I would rob them.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that one, Oscar. With that being said, I don't think I've ever asked you about the Oakland A's situation. What do you make of it?
I don't like that either. I'm very opinionated there. They have enough money to do whatever they want to do. I was watching the series with the Padres and the A's. That's a beautiful little stadium up there.
Sure.
It's right on the water. They have nobody in the stands. I don't blame the people for not going when they're being told that they're going to move the ball club. But I can't see us giving taxpayer money under the circumstances that exist now without any kind of promises. It's like what happened with the Harry Reid Airport. Mm-hmm. We were fed a bunch of malarkey, it looks like, that the private sector is going to come up with $8 million to change all the signage and to change the stationery and that kind of stuff. I understand they raised $1 million. It was from one guy who put up the money, supposedly, and nobody ever called him on it. They never said, wait a second. Who's paying the other $7 million here? And that seems to have been forgotten by everybody. And another one, if you want to start with me, is the Boring Company.
Right.
I don't think they ever finished a project. Maybe they have. I don't know of any they ever finished. They keep on digging and digging and digging.
Yeah.
God forbid there be some kind of a situation where one of these Teslas runs out of electricity or something, or there's a cyber event like took place at the hotel, mm-hmm. and all these people are trapped without a lane to get out in. To me, I don't know. I think people are too much of in a hurry just to spend the taxpayer money, and under my watch, I hope no one ever felt that my council did anything like that.
No, and there are great celebrities and sports stars like Bryce Harper, who grew up here, that agrees with you and agrees with me that we should get an expansion team. And not only that, but the A's are one of the worst teams in baseball. All due respect.
Maybe baseball history.
Yeah,
baseball history.
Right, they're terrible. I would say the Aviators would have a chance to beat them. And I just think it's not a good look. And I think you said it best. Don't rush into anything. The Golden Knights did it the right way, right?
Yes, they did.
Expansion
Yes,
team,
they did.
and what they've accomplished.
They did it the right way.
And what they've accomplished, Oscar, is unbelievable, right? And their success.
Absolutely.
And listen, the Raiders, the Raiders are always going to be successful. As far as, are you surprised? You're probably not, but listen, the Raiders haven't made the playoffs since they've been here. I think they're going to struggle this year, yet they're one of the most profitable teams in the NFL. That, to me, is 90% where they're at. They're in Las Vegas.
No question about that. They're going to sell out forever. Las Vegas loves a winner, but if they put a presentable ball club down there and they hustle and they pay attention to what they're doing and they don't have the kind of holdouts that are translating into 20-yard games when a guy should be running for 100 yards, we'll be in good shape. I think a lot of lessons have been learned from these players who they hold out. But I guess they do that because it's the American way, and the same people who are making those millions and millions of dollars while teachers aren't getting the kind of salaries I think they deserve, and doctors are working their tails off to save people's lives and to beat COVID. I don't know. I don't know what makes a guy who's getting let's say $100 million and he drives his car at 1 billion miles an hour, and there's no such thing as a slap on the wrist when you go into prison. But boy, you would think people would be smarter before they do something so dumb.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I have to ask you about this, and I know it's a case that's certainly made national news about, and as I'm sure you've heard, these two 17-year-olds that steal this car and sadly murder this guy who served in California as lieutenant. What do you make of this story? Do you agree that they should both be charged as adults? And what do you think would be a proper punishment? What do you make of the story as a whole?
Once again, it was a screwed up situation. Not knowing all the facts, I wouldn't even want to engage in conjecture with it. My feeling is that there's something really fishy going on here, but without being involved, I can't tell you what it is.
Okay, well, maybe at some point I'll have to ask you what you mean by fishy, but we won't have to worry about that.
Well, it's sort of like what happened at Lake Mead and the Barrel. That's a little fishy, too.
Interesting. Okay, no, I hear you. I hear what you're saying. What advice would you give? I don't know if you have any type of relationship or what it is with Joe Lombardo, but what advice would you give him? How do you think he's doing so far as governor? If you had
it's the same old thing. I'm not there. I wasn't up at the legislature, thank goodness. And all I know, there are a lot of things. It's a great city. It's the best city in the world. A lot of wonderful things happen here every single day. And it's a full-time job to make sure that they keep on happening. And it looks to me like the governor is working hard, but whether he's accomplishing what he is trying to accomplish, that's a different story. And whether or not we're going to be able to resolve the issue as far as the schools are concerned.
Right.
It's a horrible thing. Those kids, they missed a year or two because of COVID.
Right.
So they're a year or two behind. And now when they have to find themselves going to school and not having any teachers there, there seems to be something really untoward about that. So I hope they resolve that very, very quickly, because we do have one of the world's worst records as far as performance is concerned with our education. And I said from the beginning, because Carolyn is an educator, she's an educator by profession. She founded the Meadows School, so we used to talk about it all the time. Unless we get an educated workforce here, we're never going to have the kind of diversity that everybody's talking about. Big companies aren't going to come because they're looking for brain power here. They're looking for people who will show up at work and get there on time and do their job right, which is fine. We don't have to have a city of Einsteins, but it sure would be nice to know that our education is a fine education, because the American way is to provide one.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. Oscar, I just wanted to say I was at Container Park last night walking around with some friends, and I thought about you and I thought about your wife, because to me, downtown Fremont Street has transcended into something very special, and you guys, both of you, are a big part of that. So I wanted to ask you, with that being said, your time as mayor, what would you say you're most proud of? What are you most proud of when you were mayor, and what are you most proud of as far as what your wife has been able to accomplish?
Well, when I was mayor, the thing I was most proud of course, is to try to make people smile, because as a criminal defense lawyer with my clients and the alleged mobsters I represented, it's hard to get a smile. But I think when we acquired the acreage known as Symphony Park now, and have developed that's probably couldn't be done in any other city in the world. To get a first-class performing arts center like the Smith, or a first-class medicine like the Ruvo, and the Mob Museum right down the street. That all happened very, very quickly, and my wife took the reins, and she's held the hand of the downtown businesses and walked them through the permitting process. But the thing I'm most proud of is I have a happy marriage and great kids.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I think that's definitely something to be proud of. Oscar, I always appreciate it when you take the time to come on the show. It's always special for me to talk to you, and hopefully I'll see you out and about one of these days in town. I will say this. I watched, I don't know if you saw the video footage of U2 the other day. They were right in front of your restaurant.
The restaurant, Oscar's restaurant in the plaza, is all over the place. I've gotten 20 or 30 phone calls from people all over the world saying, "Go to your restaurant."
Only in Vegas, right, Oscar? Beef, booze, and broads, and then right in front there, U2 just shows up and does a free show, and they're filming a music video. That wouldn't happen anywhere else in the world, but it happens here in Las Vegas, right?
It was awesome.
Yep. Oscar, you are awesome, my friend. I love you. I always appreciate it when you take the time. We'll talk to you soon, and please send my regards to your beautiful wife, Carolyn.
I will, and I'm breathing a sigh of relief. I thought you were going to ask me about Rico, R-I-C-O.
No, that'll be next time, okay? That'll be next time.
Okay, take care.
Take care, Oscar.
Yourself.
God bless you. All right,
Okay,
take it easy,
thank
buddy.
you.
Oscar
Thank
Goodman,
you.
everybody. I love this guy. I love having Oscar Goodman on the show. Always honest. Always opinionated, just like me. Me and Oscar think alike on a lot of different things. You know, it's interesting because I never knew that Oscar was asked to possibly represent O.J. Simpson, let alone right in the middle of the car chase. How crazy is that? Listen, at one point in Oscar Goodman's life, he was one of the most well-known attorneys on the planet. He represented everybody. Remember the movie Casino, Lefty Rosenthal, Spilatra? He represented all those guys. That's why he played himself in the movie Casino, by the way. But he was one of the most popular attorneys around. I just find it very interesting. It goes to show you the scale of your popularity when O.J. Simpson is in a car chase with police, and in the middle of that car chase, I think I was at my middle school prom when that happened. Boy, that was a long time ago, and I'm old. But Oscar was asked to represent O.J. Boy, how would that have turned out if Oscar Goodman was on that dream team? He makes a lot of good points about the Donald Trump stuff. It's not like Oscar is saying that Donald Trump is innocent. I don't believe Donald Trump is innocent. I believe he committed felonies. I believe he did some very bad things. But Oscar Goodman makes a very good point, which is very difficult to get a guilty verdict. All it takes is one juror. All it takes is one. Now, it might not come down to that. There might eventually be some sort of plea deal. I don't know. But all it takes is one juror, one MAGA clown out there. I would say the same thing in the OJ verdict. While the prosecutors, Marcia Clark and Darden, were terrible, and while the LAPD didn't do them any favors either, when you have racist cops like Mark Furman, there were a lot of issues in that case that made it very difficult for the prosecution. But with that being said, right after you have the not guilty verdict and one black male on the jury puts up the black power sign to O.J. Simpson, that was a guy that was never going to find a guilty verdict for O.J. Simpson. Never. You could have had O.J. Simpson decapitating his wife on video, and the guy still would have probably put forth a not guilty verdict. So, listen, that's up to the attorneys to make sure you have jurors on the jury that are not biased, but it's almost impossible sometimes for it to be perfect. Jurors can lie to get on a jury. You never know. All it takes is one MAGA clown, and there will not be a guilty verdict because it has to be beyond a reasonable doubt. Yes, I get it. You're innocent until proven guilty. Yes, I get it. Donald Trump will have the ability to defend himself in a court of law. I understand that. I still believe O.J. Simpson is a felon. I do believe he is guilty. But Oscar Goodman makes a really good point there. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, a Patriots fan dies at a game over the weekend. What exactly happened? We'll share it with you when we come back. Take a quick break after this. Be right back. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Miles per time.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits here. I want to tell you guys about my good friends at the Postal Annex. They have a notary signing agent on site daily, no appointment needed, and they offer a full scale of printing services from shipping labels to documents, business cards, banners, photos, and business signage. They're your passport service headquarters. They offer passport photos, and they can renew your adult passports. If you're traveling in a hurry, they can get those passports to you within 7 days or less. Mailbox rentals with a physical street address, and they also receive your packages from Amazon, UPS, FedEx, USPS, and more. Here's the best part. If you're a Pushing the Limits listener, they have an introductory rate of only $39 for a 3-month service. You can't beat it. Give them a call, 702-873-8005. Check them out at 6130 West Flamingo Road. It's the Postal Annex. Tell them I sent you.
Buying or selling a home is a huge life event that requires guidance from an expert in the industry and community. My name is Blake Wynn. You may recognize my name as my grandfather was the best governor the state of Nevada has ever had. Growing up in Las Vegas, I've come to know this community intricately. Now, I am raising a family here as well, so I understand all the issues impacting our home and quality of life. As the top realtor for the #1 real estate team at Keller Williams, you can have confidence in my experience, knowledge, and track record. When it comes to buying, selling, or investing in real estate, choose a name you can trust, someone who understands the community you call home. Call Blake Wynn today and experience the difference of a trusted expert. 702-540-3311.
Hi, Doug Basham here. Join me Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 12 noon right here on KSHP, AM 1400, 107.1 FM, and on major social media sites. As always, I'll tell you what your conservative, corporate-controlled, right-wing propaganda hate media isn't. You're welcome. That's Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 12 noon right here on KSHP. Beat it!
Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams, treatments such as testosterone enhancement and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices, office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client, so please give them a call, 702-248-0554.
Welcome to Hash House A Go-Go, where we've been serving farm food and crafted cocktails for over 2 decades. Visit us for the full Hash House experience at any of our 5 Las Vegas locations. Hash House A Go-Go is where old school meets new and gets twisted. We bring people together over good food and fun. Come in for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and come hungry because our portions are huge. Visit us online to see our entire menu at hashhouseagogo.com. Hash House A Go-Go. It's a Midwest thing, and there's nothing else like it.
The Vegas Voice, Tuesday morning at 10 on KSHP, North Las Vegas, AM and FM, 829-6HP, North Las Vegas, and KSHP.com.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us. Check out my favorite gaming bar in town. It's Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. Today happens to be Wednesday, so I have good news for you. If you earn enough points, you have a chance to spin a wheel to win up to $3,000 multiple times. What a great gaming bar. They have so many great promotions. The food is second to none, man. It's awesome. I had prime rib there the other day. It was phenomenal. Like steakhouse prime rib, man. It was incredible. Jackson's Bar and Grill. Check them out. Flamingo and Jones. Tell them I sent you. We got Ron Futrell coming up at the bottom of the hour. Talk a little Raiders football. I do want to share a story with you real quickly, if I may. So I came to this town, I was 21 years old. So, I'm old. I'm 43 now. Over 20 years ago. There's something in this town called the Nevada Broadcasters Hall of Fame. And if you don't have to be on the air, radio, or TV. You could be a producer. You could be behind the scenes. And by the way, those people deserve to be recognized. I think that's great. You could be anywhere in the field, TV, radio, and the media, and you qualify for the Nevada Broadcasters Hall of Fame. Now, maybe to each their own, but my definition of Hall of Fame is, at least my understanding of it, should be best of the best. Like when I think Basketball Hall of Fame, Michael Jordan, right? Larry Bird, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Willis Reed, some of the best to ever play the game of basketball. Same thing with football, baseball. You get my point. So if I'm thinking of Broadcasters Hall of Fame, even though I can't stand him, I would think Rush Limbaugh, right? I would think Howard Stern. I would think Don Imus, Mike Francesa, guys like that, right? Colin Cowherd, who did radio here in Las Vegas. Some of the biggest names in the business would be Hall of Famers, right? And then I think of people here locally that have been on the air, like Russ Langer, great guy, great broadcaster, does the Aviator games, does UNLV football. That's a guy that I believe, would be in the Hall of Fame, right? A guy like that. Those are Hall of Famers to me. So they had the Nevada Broadcasters Hall of Fame inductees, and I'm trying to remember how many. I think there were like maybe 30 or 36 people that were inducted. All the power to them. I'm happy for them. And I do respect a lot of people that are in the Nevada Broadcasters Hall of Fame. I really do. I'm not taking anything away from them. So I was asked by a few people the other day. A couple of people hit me, hey, Brian, how come you're not putting in your Nevada Broadcasters Hall of Fame? You've been on the air in this town for more than 20 years. You can get letters from people, which I could. Never been fired from a job in radio in my life, by the way. I've been laid off a few times, but I've never been fired from a job. And I thought about it and I responded to them, and I responded the same way on social media. And I said, I really don't need a trophy to make me feel good about myself. And that's what you get. You get a trophy. I don't need to brag to people and say, hey, I'm a Hall of Famer. Because that's just not who I am. And maybe some people are different than me. That's just me personally. That's how I feel. I also believe that I want to get an award, whether it's an award for being a broadcaster or whatever, for my actual accomplishments, not just because I've been on the air for 2 decades. Now, that's just me. That's just my personal opinion. So I shared my opinions on social media. And I also prefaced it by saying, I respect people that have been in this business for more than 2 decades. This is a really difficult business. TV and radio is really competitive, and it's really difficult. And this at times could be a really rough town to make it in this industry. Trust me, I've been through it 20 years. So I respect people, especially people behind the scenes, whether it be, somebody like Numchuck, a producer, somebody who does camera work, TV work behind the scenes. I have the utmost respect for people behind the scenes, and it's my understanding that's why the Nevada Broadcasters Hall of Fame started up. It was to recognize those kinds of people. And by the way, I think that's great. I'm just not one of those people that needs some sort of trophy that says Nevada Broadcasters Hall of Fame. Brian, why'd you get that? Oh, I've been on the air for more than 20 years. I don't need that. So anyway, being the person that I am, and I'm not afraid to share my opinions about anything, I put that up on social media yesterday, and I gave my thoughts on it. And yes, there are a few people that have been inducted into the Nevada Broadcasters Hall of Fame, like Wayne Allen Root, who spews bigotry and hatred on the air every day. That guy should never receive an award. And I wrote that on social media. There are certain people, I don't care if they've been on the air 50 years. I remember when Donald Trump gave that award to Rush Limbaugh, if you remember. Thought that was a disgrace to the country. Same thing here on a local level. So yes, I did speak to that. And I got a lot of reaction on social media from what I said. Some broadcasters agreeing with me. There were a few people that disagreed with me, but that's why it's important to have these kind of conversations. It's not because I'm trying to make it personal with anybody. This isn't about one person. I did bring up Wayne Allen Root. I don't think he deserved the award because I think he's despicable. But this wasn't about like singling out somebody. If you're proud of your Nevada Broadcasters Hall of Fame trophy, then that's fine. I don't see anything wrong with that. I'm just very different. I don't need a trophy to make myself feel good about myself. That's just who I am. Everybody's different. And when I hear the word Hall of Fame, I think of best of the best. And it's like in the NBA, if you play in the league for 10 years, does that mean you're a Hall of Famer? In the NFL, if you're in the league for 10 years, are you a Hall of Famer? Or Major League Baseball? No, of course not, because that's not what the word Hall of Fame should mean. I think it should be called Nevada Broadcasters 20-year and over recognition. Okay, I'm on board with that. Shouldn't be Nevada Broadcasters Hall of Fame. That's just my personal opinion. So anyway, why am I bringing this up? Well, it's interesting because, like I said, I had some people reach out to me yesterday. Well, one of the people that reached out to me yesterday, really late yesterday, was one of the organizers, somebody who actually runs the Nevada Broadcasters Hall of Fame. We had a very nice, pleasant conversation. And I am happy to say that we are going to have lunch. And he's going to kind of pick my brain a little bit at why I feel that way. I'm going to pick his brain, and we're going to have a nice conversation. See, that's why I share my opinions, not just on the air, but on social media. Not to intentionally try to attack somebody. I share my opinions. Doesn't mean I'm always going to be right. And if people disagree with me, so long as they are respectful, and this person was, we talk it out, and maybe we come to some sort of mutual understanding. And by the way, we already have. He agreed with me on some things that I've said, and I agreed with him. That's what it's all about. And I had other people that are close to me, friends of mine, poo-pooing what I said. Brian, you shouldn't do that. You're ruffling feathers and blah, 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 blah. First of all, if I cared about being in the Nevada Broadcasters Hall of Fame, I would not have said what I said. That's number one. And number two, nothing I said was derogatory towards anybody except for maybe Wayne Allen Kook, who, in my opinion, if you're going to give him an award for being a jerk and spreading misinformation. But other than that, it wasn't directed towards anybody specifically. I just don't understand why you call something a Hall of Fame just because you've worked in the industry. That's all. Doesn't mean I don't respect you. Gosh, I respect a lot of people that are in the Nevada Broadcasters Hall of Fame. If you've been in this business for 20 years or more, you have to be doing something right. I would assume, right? You have to be doing something right in this very difficult industry, especially here in Las Vegas. So as I said, there's a happy ending to this. Don't get the wrong ideas. I'm not talking about Spring Mountain. There is a happy ending to this. Don't get too excited, Chris Wynn. Don't get too excited. There is a happy ending to this, not that kind of happy ending. I will be meeting with someone that is one of the organizers of the Nevada Broadcasters Hall of Fame. We're going to have lunch, and I'm really looking forward to that. So anyway, I wanted to end that story on a positive note. Happy ending music, ladies and gentlemen. Brought to you by Justin, also known as Numchuck. We need to play this music every single time Chris Wynn is in studio. God, he was screaming at me last night. We're at Circa last night at the Circa bar, and he starts yelling at me for no reason. I'm like, what are you yelling for, dude? I'm sitting right next to you. Chris Wynn needs a massage. That's all I'm saying. He needs a massage.
I feel like Wynn has two levels. It's either mellow, or just going insane.
He gets insane sometimes. I remember I was talking about Becky Hammond, and I was talking about the Aces, and I guess I might have pronounced her name wrong, and this was like a year ago. And I reposted.
Is this when you said the Becky Hammond?
Yeah, I reposted it on social media because he's just screaming at me in studio on a break. I'm like, dude, what is wrong with you? I start recording him, and usually when someone's being recorded, they calm down and they stop. Not Chris. He just keeps going. So I reposted that on social media. It's actually very funny. So anyway, looking forward to that conversation and learning a little bit more about the Nevada Broadcasters Hall of Fame, and that's part of having different opinions than somebody else, right? You're not entitled to your own facts, but you are entitled to your own opinions. That is my opinion about the Nevada Broadcasters Hall of Fame. All due respect to the people that have been inducted. All due respect to the organizers. It's just not really something that I'm interested in. That's all. I know for some people it's a resume builder. Is what it is. But happy that I'm going to be speaking with someone and having lunch with someone, that one of the organizers of it, one of the people who run it. Anyway. I don't know what it is about this day and age where you go to a sporting event and you have to worry about your safety. Like, some of these NFL games are getting out of control when it comes to fans. Like, if I'm a Raiders fan, and obviously I cover the Raiders, I would never show up and cover a Raiders game wearing a jersey. But back in the day when I used to wear jerseys, I was smart about it, right? Like, I remember, I went to New Jersey when the Nets were playing the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. I wasn't going to go in there and wear a Celtics jersey. I didn't want to deal with that. So I think sometimes you have to be smart about it. It's very sad that you can't wear the jersey of the team that you like in fear that something could happen to you. I think that's really sad that we live in a day and age now where you can't really do that. Otherwise, you're going to face repercussions. The NFL has not done a good job with this. There's lax security at stadiums all over the country. And here's a perfect example. A fan died. This is a horrible story, by the way. A fan died at a Patriots game on Sunday, and he was involved, apparently, in a physical altercation prior to his death. And now officials are reviewing video footage of the incident to determine what exactly happened. The Norfolk District Attorney's Office says that their investigation has included numerous law enforcement interviews and the examination of multiple angles of video capturing a scuffle prior to the man by the name of Dale Mooney's collapse during Sunday night's game at Gillette Stadium, if you recall. This was the Sunday night football game. Apparently, they've conducted a preliminary autopsy on this man, which pointed out some sort of medical issue as opposed to a traumatic injury as a possible factor of the death. But if you get into a physical scuffle with somebody, and then let's just say 5 minutes later the guy has a heart attack or somebody has a heart attack, you can still be charged with murder. Let's be very clear on that. This guy, 53 years old, he's a young man who was at the Patriots-Dolphins game on Sunday. He was rushed to a local hospital after it was initially classified as an apparent medical event. He was pronounced dead at the medical facility. Following the news, videos of the incident has surfaced online, appearing to show a man in a Dolphins jersey striking the spectator. So now this GoFundMe page was launched for Mooney's family. It's raised $13,000 as of today. And this is just a terrible story. Dale is survived by his wife, and he has 2 kids as well. This is horrible. But he didn't suffer a traumatic injury, as I just said. This was some sort of medical issue. So, but that might not be so relevant, and here's why I say that. Again, I go back to what I just said earlier. Just because you don't die from blunt force trauma doesn't mean you can't be liable for this man's death. Example, let's just say somebody gets into a scuffle with somebody, like this situation, hypothetically speaking, and there's no physical bruises or blood or anything like that. Maybe somebody's getting pushed around. Let's just hypothetically say that took place, and then a minute or two later, somebody drops dead of a heart attack. You could still be liable for that heart attack. So we're going to have to wait and see how this plays out. This stuff is going on across the country, though. These scuffles. Somebody died in a restroom at an NFL game last year after a physical altercation. This is really bad stuff. And there's absolutely not enough security at some of these games. So this is really sad. My heart goes out to his family. We don't know exactly what happened. We don't know who started it. What we do know is that a 53-year-old Patriots fan is dead, and he got into a scuffle with a Miami Dolphins fan. That's all we know. We don't know who started it. We don't know if this Miami Dolphins fan is responsible for the death, but we are glad that there is some video and there are witnesses and police continue to investigate. This is a horrible story. Nobody should have to go to a sporting event and wear a jersey without being belligerent to any other fans and have to worry about their safety. This stuff has to stop. There's nothing wrong with fans cheering and booing. You should never be allowed to throw out vulgarities, and you shouldn't be allowed to harass or intimidate other fans just because they're rooting for the opposite team. It's absurd. It's ridiculous. This stuff has to stop. And if people are caught doing this sort of thing, they should be kicked out of games forever, and the NFL needs to take a stronger stance on this. In my personal opinion, this is money. The NFL needs to take a stronger stance on this. If you are caught in a physical altercation and you started it, you throw the first punch, you put your hands on somebody, you should never be allowed to go to an NFL game for the rest of your life. If you are charged with a crime and an NFL football game, you should never be allowed to go back. But the NFL has been way too lax on this stuff, just like they're way too lax on a lot of things. Because why? It's all about the dollar bill, and it's about money. If you start, and again, that's a key word here, because I'm not saying if it's self-defense, you should be escorted out or anything along those lines. You should be able to file a lawsuit. But if it's proven that you started a physical altercation and that there are witnesses that say that you started a physical altercation, you have to be banned from NFL games for life. You should also be banned from that arena for life. The NFL has done a terrible job in policing this sort of stuff, and they have to put the clamps down and send a message to everybody that this will not and cannot be tolerated. There's nothing wrong with a fan going to a game, rooting for the opposing team on the road. There's nothing wrong with enjoying a game with your loved one, with a friend, with a family member, and cheering on the other team. There's also nothing wrong with booing. There's nothing wrong with cheering. You know, last I checked, this is all ages. Sometimes alcohol gets involved as well. That is not an excuse for your behavior. So again, my heart goes out to the Mooney family. And we'll have to learn a little bit more about what happened here, and we'll continue to monitor this situation. All right, so here is what we are going to do. We're going to talk some Raiders football when we come back, and we're going to be joined by Channel 8's the man, the myth, the legend, Ron Futrell, sportscaster, TV anchor, and reporter himself. We'll take a quick break, talk a little Raiders football when we come back. Before I do that, though, I do want to tell you guys about my good friend, Blake Gwynn over at the Keller Williams Group. If you're thinking of buying or selling a home, no better person than Blake. Of course, his grandfather, the late, great Kenny Gwynn, the former governor here. Blake has lived here, grown up here his entire life. He is a Vegas native. He knows this town inside and out. Wouldn't you want somebody to help you if you're selling or buying than somebody that knows this city so well and has lived here their entire life? Well, guess what? Blake Gwynn is exactly that guy. He helped my family, gave them great advice. He'll do the same for you. Will you please give Blake a call over at the Keller Williams Group? Here's his number. Write it down. 702-540-3311. Again, that number, 702-540-3311. We're also going to get Blake in studio next week because he has a huge charity poker tournament that he's doing over at Arizona Charlie's on Decatur later this month, and I'm going to be a part of. And I can't wait for it, raising money for the Ronald McDonald Fund. Call Blake, 702-540-3311 if you're thinking of buying or selling a home. Take a quick break. When we come back, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Ron Futrell from Channel 8. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams and treatments such as testosterone enhancement and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices, office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client, so please give them a call, 702-248-0554. Everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits here. I want to tell you guys about my good friends at the Postal Annex. They have a notary signing agent on-site daily, no appointment needed, and they offer a full scale of printing services from shipping labels to documents, business cards, banners, photos, and business signage. They're your passport service headquarters. They offer passport photos, and they can renew your adult passports. If you're traveling in a hurry, they can get those passports to you within 7 days or less. Mailbox rentals with a physical street address, and they also receive your packages from Amazon, UPS, FedEx, USPS, and more. Here's the best part. If you're a Pushing the Limits listener, they have an introductory rate of only $39 for a 3-month service. You can't beat it. Give them a call, 702-873-8005. Check them out at 6130 West Flamingo Road. It's the Postal Annex. Tell them I sent you.
Buying or selling a home is a huge life event that requires guidance from an expert in the industry and community. My name is Blake Wynn. You may recognize my name as my grandfather was the best governor the state of Nevada has ever had. Growing up in Las Vegas, I've come to know this community intricately. Now, I am raising a family here as well, so I understand all the issues impacting our home and quality of life. As the top realtor for the #1 real estate team at Keller Williams, you can have confidence in my experience, knowledge, and track record. When it comes to buying, selling, or investing in real estate, choose a name you can trust and someone who understands the community you call home. Call Blake Wynn today and experience the difference of a trusted expert. 702-540-3311.
All right, welcome back. It's Pushing the Limits. On a Thursday, or I'm sorry, on a Wednesday, I'm getting way too ahead of myself. Tomorrow we got Paul McKeskey in studio. I'm getting way too ahead of myself. Maybe I need to get a checkup. Maybe I need to go to Sahara West Urgent Primary Care. Do you see how, that's what a Nevada Broadcaster Hall of Fame does.
That's how you do it.
You see that transition there? Maybe I can get into the Hall of Fame. That's what a Hall of Famer does. Anyway, Sahara West Urgent Primary Care, located at 6125 West Sahara Avenue. No appointment needed. If you don't have insurance, no problem. Only $95. Give them a call, 702-248-0554. Or you could also visit them online at SaharaWestUrgentCare.com. I was in and out of there in about 15 minutes. They're great over there. Sarah, or I should say Jessica. Where did I say Sarah? That was my ex-girlfriend. That's my first girlfriend from high school. Her name was Sarah. I don't know where I got Sarah from. Anyway, Jessica and Andrew will take care of you over there at Sahara West Urgent Primary Care. Tell them I sent you. All right, we got a lot of sports to get to, a lot of business to get to, and sports to get to, and I figured what better person to do it than the very busy man, the myth, the legend, my friend Ron Futrell joining us right now from Channel 8. Mr. Futrell in his office. Ron, what's going on, my friend?
I am sitting here in the office now, downloading Raiders highlights from practice today, interviews with Josh McDaniels. Are you not in the Nevada Broadcasters Hall of Fame?
I just did a whole segment about it. I never put in for it. No, I never did. No. Are you?
I was in the inaugural class in 97.
I was 17 years old.
We had a big bash over at the Desert Inn, okay? Back with Mo Dalis, and the gangsters still ran the place. So, no, that was fun. Okay, then I'm boycotting the Hall of Fame. This is like Jethro Tull not being in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. This is like Emerson, Lake and Palmer not being in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Ron, if you juiced,
like Ted Nugent. Ted Nugent is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
If you juiced and you took steroids, can you still be inducted into the Nevada Broadcasters Hall of Fame?
I hope you get double inducted for that. You get double or triple. Yes. If you're juicing, put you in twice. You and the androstenedione both get to go in.
Fair enough.
Okay?
Fair enough. Well, long story short, we don't need to get into it, but I gave a few criticisms about it. And actually somebody reached out to me that is a part of one of the organizers. I'm going to have lunch with him, and he's going to kind of pick my brain a little bit. So I'm actually looking forward to that. But
you'll be in the. We got to get you in the next class.
Oh,
okay?
I don't think that's ever going to happen now. After I kind of trashed some things about it. But
well, here's you want me to say? I can trash some things about it if you want, and I've been in it since. Have I mentioned since '97, the inaugural class?
Yeah, I also mentioned I was 17 years old, but just past puberty.
Yes.
Yep.
Have I mentioned that yet? Okay. No, I mean, bless them. I love what they do. I love the donations, the scholarships.
Sure.
But the requirements aren't real tough to get in.
Thank you. Thank you. See, me and Ron agree again. As long as it's not politics, we agree. No, I agree with you 100%. It's not that I don't respect people that have been in the industry for decades, because I obviously do. I just think the standards aren't high. If you want to call it the Nevada Broadcasters plus 20-year career, then great. But if you're going to call it the Hall of Fame, the standards have to be a little higher. That's all I'm saying. I think that's a very reasonable opinion.
Yeah, and I missed your last thing. And no, so I mean, you're right. I mean, they account for some of the time you were in other markets doing things because we're such a transient state.
Right.
And so that's
easy.
That's
Hey, Ron,
easy
with that word trans. There's a lot of people in your party that don't like that word. I'm sorry. That was
transient.
That was a cheap shot. I'm sorry, Ron.
Transient. Men are men and women are women. I will say that as long as I live. XX
you know
does
what?
not equal XY or vice versa.
You know what? That's not always true.
As long as I live.
That's not always true. I met somebody on a date once, and I think it was a man, so I thought it was a woman. So, yeah.
The
so
Kinks wrote. Was her name Lola? The Kinks are asking.
I don't remember. His name. I actually don't remember. But it was a funny story to tell. That's for sure. Hey, Ron, before we get to the Raiders, I've been talking about this story about this. I'm sure you heard about it. This New England Patriots fan that sadly passed away and died at the age of 53. And it brings me to a stronger issue. We still don't have all the details of what happened out there at Gillette Stadium. But here's what we do know, Ron. This happens every year, where a fan gets into some sort of altercation and sadly loses his or her life. And I don't think the NFL is doing enough about this. What do you make of these stories and these brawls that seem to happen it's happened at Raiders games. Luckily, no one's lost their life at a Raider game, but we see these things happen all the time, and it's getting out of control, isn't it?
Oh, Raiders-Niners. Okay, after there was a brawl at In-N-Out Burger in Santa Clara after a Niners game this year between Niners and Raiders fans. And as that's happening, I'm thinking, we're opening an In-N-Out Burger right next to Allegiant Stadium, and it's now open. Now, I'm not blaming the blessed In-N-Out Burger from Baldwin Park, California, near my hometown of Hacienda Heights. I'm not going to blame In-N-Out Burger for this. But it is a general lawlessness. You could see it in a lot of areas in the nation. I mean, two thugs, drive their car into a bike with an officer on it, ex-officer, and kill him in the streets, and are laughing about it, joking about it, and recording it. So it's a general issue with lawlessness in our country right now. Defund the police has not worked out real well, and it never will, and it hasn't, and won't, and doesn't. So that's one of the issues. But it's also alcohol, probably, and I'm guessing at stadiums late. This probably happened later in the game. It doesn't happen first quarter or first period or first three innings. This typically happens when people can't control their alcohol late in games.
Yeah, I did bring that up last segment, too, that I do believe alcohol is a factor, which clearly is not an excuse. We've always had lawlessness in this country. I don't think that's ever going to change, and I certainly don't think the overwhelming 99% of precincts have dealt with defunding the police. You mentioned those two animals, whatever you want to call them, murderers. Obviously that's not something you can really police. If two people want to decide to steal a car and plow somebody over, I'm not sure what a police department can do about that to stop something like that from happening. It's a horrible tragedy. And by the way, I'm glad that they found the passenger I just spoke to Oscar Goodman about that case last
No,
segment.
good.
Yeah, it's horrible. And, listen, I want those, certainly the person that drove that vehicle, I want that individual to be behind bars for the rest of their life with no possibility of parole. But going back to the whole football thing, you're right. There are people that have no regard for the law, lawlessness, as you put it, which I would agree. I also agree with you in many instances, alcohol. But I got to tell you, Ron, I'm not going to put my anger, besides the individuals, to police. I'm putting it towards the NFL. In my personal opinion, if you are convicted of a crime in one of their games, you should be banned for life. I'm sorry. I've just had it. I've had it.
That's not a policy with the NFL? No, and I'm asking. I'm sincerely asking.
No, it depends. It depends on the crime. It depends on the crime. Like, example, if you have, I agree. Well, if somebody is swearing at somebody the whole game and throwing out vulgarities at somebody for the entire game, and there's video evidence of it, pure harassment, just because somebody's wearing another jersey, if that's caught on tape, that person should be banned from those games. If you put your hands on somebody and start a physical altercation, you should never be allowed to go to an NFL game ever again. And I just don't think some of these rules in the NFL are strong enough.
Yeah, well, at least they should make that statement. I don't know how they police that. That's going to be another issue. I mean, you have facial recognition, things like that. But at least make that statement. Come out with a good, strong, harsh statement. You are done. We are going to have a policy. And all the sports leagues, for that matter, need to adopt it. I mean, I'm sickened. Years ago, there was at a Dodgers-Giants game in Chavez Ravine, some Dodgers fans jumped a Giants fan who was a former firefighter in the Bay Area and knocked him unconscious and killed him. His head hit the ground, and they killed him. Now, they've been caught, and they've been I don't know what the result has been, but these things are happening in a lot of ballparks and a lot of stadiums. And, yes, I think every sports league, somebody needs to take a hard stand, and I've not heard a hard stand. So, and you're sort of letting me know that it's not there, and I'm surprised that it's not. I mean, this isn't stealing a hot dog at a concession stand.
No.
All right, you do that.
I've thought about that.
It's not that. We have to know degrees. We got to do degrees on this thing. That's how justice is done. And they need to set the standard somewhere. Okay, that fan that was yelling at the Raiders fans that were yelling at some. I
remember there was I had that guy on the show, and this was last year. I'm glad you brought that up because actually, Ron, I was just thinking about that. A female that clearly was intoxicated, acting like a complete moron, while her boyfriend is kind of holding her back. She's harassing this guy. Now, I'm so happy that Kraft and the Patriots took care of him. He was a Patriots fan, and they flew him out to a game. And the Raiders, by the way, were fantastic as well. They offered him tickets to any game he wanted to go to. I'm glad the both organizations handled it great. But the NFL should say, that woman, find out who she is. She's never allowed to go to an NFL football game again. Going to these games is not a right. It's a privilege. These fans forget that. Just because you buy a ticket doesn't give you the right to be an a-hole. That's a perfect example. No physical confrontation there, right? It could have been. No physical confrontation because the guy that was being harassed handled it so well. That woman should not be allowed to go to an NFL game ever again.
Okay, okay, here we go, Brian. Here's how we fix this. Let's have a court, okay? You and I are the first judges on that court. We need a third person.
That'd be scary.
I don't know. Do we want Chris? The third person would be a Chris. It'd be either Chris Wynn or Chris Matthews. Okay, so and they could rotate.
Chris Matthews would probably be a little more fair, because Chris Wynn would be yelling too much. Yeah.
Both Chris's are nice guys, so I would be fine with either one. But maybe rotate them back and forth. But you and I are the permanent judge. We're going to call it the Sports Supreme Court, the SSC. And we're the Sports Supreme Court, and we will look at the video, we will make the decision, we will make the judgment, we will have a hammer, and we will go, that person is gone for life, boom, never to go to the NFL again, never. And if it's egregious enough, never to go to any sporting event ever again, as far as we can do it. Now, how we police that, that's going to be a little more, that's going to be a little tougher, but at least have that, a black book. We need a black book. Vegas, we got a black book for all the mobsters, gangsters, right?
Yep.
Okay,
I like
you get caught cheating in a casino, you get put in a black book. The first step is to put them in the black book. So you and I are starting the SSC, the Sports Supreme Court, and we will make the decisions. We will ban these people for life from sporting events. or from at least that particular league or team or whatever. We can decide. But we need somebody that looks at the video and has sensible judgment, can see the world as it is, and go, okay, that's wrong. That's BS. That dude is out. That dude is gone. It's not just stealing a hot dog at a concession stand and getting in trouble for that.
Yeah.
Okay? It is something egregious.
Do you know, Ron, how many fans?
We ban them. So,
do you know, Ron, how many fans every Sunday are with their family and maybe they're going to a road game to support the road team, and how many fans are afraid to even wear a jersey of the team that they support in fear that they might be harassed or even physically attacked? It's crazy.
Oh, I've changed what I've worn when I've been in road situations and cases. I don't have many jerseys. I have very few. I have a Pat Tillman jersey from the Arizona Cardinals,
right?
Just because everybody can figure out why.
Yep.
Just have Pat Tillman. I have an LA Sharks jersey.
Oh wow.
Okay, no, I did this one time. I wore an LA Sharks, and the colors are black and red. This is an old team in the World Hockey Association in LA. I've probably talked to you about them before, but I was a big fan of them. They only played 2 years in WHA in the sports arena in LA. And so my kids got me a jersey of the Sharks, found one online, boom, got it, and I wore it to a Blackhawks Knights game one time, and I thought, oh, the colors here are black and red for the Sharks. Now, clearly there's a shark on front, but everything else, if you were to see me from behind, I look like a Blackhawks fan. And I'm going like, no, what am I doing? I just realized what these colors were that I'm wearing at a Knights game. And my first thought was somebody just think I'm rooting for the Blackhawks, which I wasn't.
You might as well just wear a Chris Chelios jersey. You might have just brought a Chelios jersey.
I know. So anyway, yes, be careful of the jersey. My wife, we were talking about this yesterday, and she saw the video somewhere, and she's watching TMZ or something, and they had the video on, and she commented to me, like, why would anybody go to a football game anymore? She mentioned Raiders. Like I said, well, there hasn't been a problem at a Raiders game that I know of.
Right.
But I get it. And she's going like,
but Ron, I have a question for you.
Tickets I wouldn't
why is it does happen, but it doesn't seem to happen as often at an NHL game. I'm not saying it doesn't happen at all, but it doesn't seem to happen as much at NHL games or Major League Baseball games or NBA games as much as it seems to be happening in the violence at NFL games. Why is that?
It's a violent sport. Let's go there. That's part of it. And the fans are very territorial. In the NFL, more than any other sport, you are territorial. I'm sick and tired of, as a Rams fan, I'm sick and tired of losing to the 49ers. Now, I wouldn't beat up a Niners fan, but I am sick and tired of it. And I am very happy that Sean McVay kicked the field goal at the end of the game to at least cover the spread. Okay?
What do you make of that? Okay, let's switch topics here real quickly. So McVay kicks this field goal that meant nothing, but it meant a lot to the gamblers. And then he's asked about it after the game, and he said he didn't know anything about it. I think he's lying. I think he absolutely knew that there was a spread.
They know the spread.
Yeah.
They know the spread. That part, he's being disingenuous there, Brian. That's a kinder word. He's being disingenuous about this. He should have just said we wanted more points because the seventh tiebreaker is point differential in games, and who has the most points. I mean, it's way down the road. It's never been used, but that would have been more believable. But it was when he's doing it. I'm saying you don't get backdoor covers with field goals very often. No, you just don't. You do.
So let me ask you this then. I agree.
Touchdown.
I agree, but let me ask you:
do
you think the NFL should investigate that? That would be almost impossible to prove. But do you think a play like that should be investigated?
No, I mean they're not going. What are they going to say?
Yeah.
What conclusion? Even if they knew the conclusion was short of McVay or people on his staff having money on the game, even if they came to the conclusion that he did it for that reason, what could they do? They wouldn't even announce that.
No, I think you're right. I think you're right. A lot of people were very upset. I did not have any action on that game. Hey, Ron, I want to talk Raiders football with you. Just as a prerequisite, I'll just say this. I'm not a Josh McDaniels guy. I don't think he's a very good head coach. It's not personal. I don't think he's a bad guy, but I don't think he's a very good head coach. With that being said, I don't have a lot of confidence in this Raiders team. I understand they got blown out against a really good Super Bowl contending team in Buffalo that was playing angry because they lost the prior week. In my opinion on the Raiders hasn't changed. Here's my opinion. They're not a good football team. They're average at best. They're going to beat the really, really bad teams like the Denver Broncos of the world. They're going to get blown out by the really good teams like Buffalo, and they're going to struggle, and it's going to be a dogfight against average football teams. And yeah, I do think Pittsburgh is average to above average. I don't think they're a very good football team. And to me, I don't understand why. Devontae Adams is one of the most prolific receivers in all of football. You have one of the best running backs in all of football in Josh Jacobs. And I think we all could agree, while I don't think Garoppolo is a top 5 quarterback in the league, he's still a very capable quarterback. I don't like the coaching staff. I don't like Josh McDaniels. I don't like the play calling. So yeah, I think the Raiders are mediocre at best. Am I wrong?
No, you're not. And Garoppolo is an average quarterback in the NFL.
Sure.
He would be in the top 20, top, maybe number 15 if you want to give him a break.
Agreed.
Okay, so that's where he is. Here's their problem, and it's been exposed the first 2 games, and you could see it on off. Now, just the offense. I'll talk about that first. Is they're very one-dimensional. They are trying to run a ball control, short passing offense in the NFL that is easy to stop, that is going to be stopped. Now, it was not stopped on that first possession against Buffalo. They marched down the field, and it was a short passing game, ball control offense. Don't do anything too risky. Hit Jacobs out of the backfield. Hit, go down the list of the receivers.
Yep.
That they didn't have one of their top receivers in the game because of the concussion protocol. But that being said, they were able to do that. It's functional. I don't think they have an offensive line that's going to open up holes for Josh Jacobs unless they change something there. But they have not opened up a single hole for him. Everything he's done well has been out of the backfield catching passes right now. And they don't have a deep game. They certainly do not have that. Garoppolo is not that deep passer. And I started this season by saying, on offense, one thing we better watch early on is how often Garoppolo can hit Devontae Adams on deep routes. Because if he can't, they're going to be in trouble. And Devontae's not going to be happy. There's going to be trouble on offense. They cannot stretch the field. Well, 2 games in, what's the longest pass to Devontae Adams? 23 yards, maybe. And most of that is him catching a short route and running the ball, yards after catch. It's not hitting him on deep routes. Garoppolo has not done that, has not been able to do that 2 games in to any of his receivers, for that matter. I mean, he's tried a couple of times, but that doesn't work. So unless they change something, and I don't know that they can, and here's the weakness, and I'm going to go to your Josh McDaniels complaint. They have some of the most talented players in the NFL. When you look at it, Josh Jacobs, number 1 in rushing last year. Devontae Adams, number 1 in touchdown receptions. Tackles behind the line of scrimmage. Max Crosby. They have 3 superstars, 3 absolute freaking superstars on this team. And Devontae's a Hall of Famer. And the other 2, if they keep going in their direction, they'll be Hall of Famers if they keep it up. But they can't win. They won 6 games last year with those sort of numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going the same direction this year.
Agreed.
Because their offense is so one-dimensional right now. Short.
So with that being said, Ron, with that being said, I've asked this question a number of times, and is Josh McDaniels on the hot seat? I'll answer my own question. Then I want to get your thoughts on this. The problem we have here, in my opinion, is I love Mark Davis as a person. I think he's a great guy. Love what he's done with the Aces, and he's a good dude. But because this is his guy and this is his hire, he ain't getting rid of Josh McDaniels unless he wins 2 or 3 games this year, right? If he wins 4 or 5 games, there's no chance, in my opinion, that Davis fires him. He's going to give him another year. What do you think?
Yeah, you're right. It won't be easy for him to do it. He'll have to be pushed, screaming, yelling, and forced to do it almost by fans or by, let's go here. At the end of last season, what was the complaint? The final 2 games with Kansas City and the 49ers here was he got mad and said he's freaking sick and tired of seeing all the visitors' jerseys at Allegiant Stadium. Well, the team wasn't going to make the playoffs and only won 6 games. That's your problem. People are going to keep their tickets that bought the season tickets are going to keep them and go to the games if you have a good team. If you don't, they're going to sell it, make a profit, and be able and give it to Niners fans. So it'll be another home game for the Niners. It'll be another home game for the Chiefs. I'm looking at the end of the schedule here. at Kansas City. Okay, LA Chargers play. LA Chargers are bad this year, I think. They haven't won a game yet. Denver plays here the last game of the season. Their fans don't really travel, and Denver's not going to make the playoffs. So probably not going to have. Oh, versus Minnesota, Sunday, December 10th. Let's say the Raiders suck by December 10th. Minnesota plays here. I've been to San Diego back when the Chargers were there and watched the Vikings game. It was on 9/11, 10 years after 9/11. In fact, I went there, the 10-year anniversary, just because I wanted to travel that weekend and go to an NFL game because Al-Qaeda was saying, don't go, don't travel. And we were saying, be afraid, don't travel. I said, screw that, I'm going to a football game. Anyway, not that I'm a tough guy. But let's watch that game, Sunday, December 10th against Minnesota. It's 1 o'clock start here in the afternoon, and see if there's a lot of Vikings fans, especially if Minnesota's good. If there's a propensity towards local fans selling their tickets to Vikings fans who want to go on the road and have circled that date here in Vegas to see the Vikings
you
play.
mentioned Ron tickets. I will say this, and I was just talking to Oscar Goodman about this. It is incredible that the Raiders have failed to make the playoffs here thus far since they've been here, and they're not a great football team or even a good football team, yet they're still one of the most profitable teams in the NFL. And make no mistake about it, being the Raider name, there's Raider loyal fans, no question, but most of that is because they're playing right here in Las Vegas, which is obviously a great thing for the city.
No, absolutely. It's what we do. We do tourism. Yeah, that's our number one industry. And now sports tourism is way up there. It's the reason the A's want to move to Vegas and are going to do that within 3-4 years whenever they're here. This is that same reason is because they can charge 7 of the top 10 tickets, resale of tickets, are games here in Vegas. And one of them is the one coming up Sunday night. There's going to be a lot of Steelers fans in the stands because local fans are going to look at it and go, I don't know how good this team is going to do. I think I'll just stay home Sunday night. I can make, $500 a ticket extra off selling them to a Steelers fan that wants to see their team. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's the nature of being in Vegas. That doesn't happen if they're in Oakland.
No question. Now
it happened with the Chargers in San Diego because San Diego's a fun place to go to, especially in the wintertime for Bears fans and for Vikings
San
fans.
Diego's beautiful. I'm not a huge California guy, but I know you are, but I love San Diego, Del Mar. It's just beautiful out there. Hey, on a positive note, Ron, let's talk a little UNLV football. The first time I interviewed Barry Odom, I liked him right from the get-go. I said, this is a guy that's saying all the right things. He's already recruiting locally. I think he went to like 30 local high schools within the first month he was coaching, the head coach here. He said, I'm judged on wins and losses, something that most of these other former UNLV football coaches like Marcus Arroyo never said. He took ownership. I'm going to be judged on wins and losses. He recruits locally. He's fantastic with the media. I said, I think this is the right guy for the job, and I like Harper. I think he's a really good athletic director, and I think he's done a very good job so far. I'm trying not to get too carried away here, but let's be honest. If they beat UTEP this weekend, they're 3-1, barring a complete collapse, which I don't think would happen. They're going to make a bowl game if they start the season 3-1. That was a big win over the weekend against not a very good Vanderbilt team, but so what? They're still in a really good conference, and it's still a good win for any Mountain West Conference team, especially when your starting quarterback goes down hurt. A kid from Liberty did a great job stepping in as the backup. I'm really happy for UNLV football. I think they're in a good place right now, and this is a big game this weekend.
I like Barry Odom, okay? I'll say that. And like you, from the get-go, he's a very endearing guy, nice guy to talk to. He's a football guy, and that's an intangible, really. And I don't know that Marcus Arroyo was a football guy. He didn't seem like it in many ways. He seemed like he was just here for glitz and glamour and do great things and didn't do any of them. But he's easy to like. I don't want to say, I guess I've been at it long enough here that I can go, yeah, I like the guy and I sort of root for him. I know I'm supposed to be unbiased and all that sort of stuff, and I still am going to be that. But I like Barry Odom, and I want to see him succeed here. I like Kevin Kruger. I want to see him succeed with basketball here. And I haven't been able to say that both the basketball and football coach and the women's basketball coach, for that matter. I like Lindy LaRock. I've known her dad for years. I love the family. I love who she is with. So it's easy to root for, and that's what you got to do. You got to have those sort of people heading your programs right now. Then you can go through the tough times a little bit easier. You still want to win, But now, okay, let's go. I'm looking at the schedule up at the wall here in the sports office. They play at UTEP this week. I haven't seen a spread on that game. Have you seen a spread?
I have not, believe it or not.
I don't know how good or bad UTEP
I would imagine UTEP will probably be favored. They're at home. I don't know what the spread is. I could look that up. But
you're right. They win that. They go 3-1. They have Hawaii here, not a very good team.
Hawaii's
they play
terrible.
Hawaii here.
They're terrible. UNLV's got to win that game. Hawaii's terrible.
Yes. So now you've got a quality win over a Southeast Conference team. I mean, it's not Alabama, but it's still a Southeast Conference team, lower level Vandy, able to beat them and the way they beat them in dramatic style. At the end, to be able to win the way they did with the deep ball and then the field goal and win it that way was pretty exciting for Rebel fans. I would love to see that place start to get filled up a little bit more during Rebel football games. Would be fun to see that. And no, he's going after the local kids and getting to know the coaches. That was something that the former coach, Marcus Arroyo, never did and made. He didn't care. He didn't care to. He didn't see anything here that was worth his time. He was looking at big time, and he thought he would get guys from out of here. Okay, if you can get the guys from California, Texas, and Florida, then go ahead. If you can get the top players from there. But short of that, which UNLV is going to fall short of that for the time, for as far as we can see, get the best local kids. Bring them out there.
Yes.
And like you said, you mentioned the quarterback from Liberty. Yep. I mean, that put a smile on it. I love Doug Brumfield, and I think he's the quarterback that's going to make some things happen. But he's gotten injured now, 2 games, and had to have backup quarterback come in there. And the fact that he's a local guy,
it's a great story.
I'm smiling right now as I'm saying this. Makes me smile.
It's a great story. Let me tell you something else about Odom. I'm at the press conference on Saturday. The first thing he says is he thanks the media for the coverage. They just came out with a huge emotional win at home at Allegiant. And the first thing he says is he's thanking the media. Marcus Arroyo would never do something like that, right? Most coaches wouldn't. And the fact that he does that, he's a humble guy. And I, as I say before and I say again, he's the right guy for the job right now. And I think Harper made a really good hire. And I think Kevin Kruger, I agree with everything you said about Kevin Kruger. I just ran into him and his dad the other day. Great people. But I think we all could agree this year is the year he's got to get it done. I'm not saying you have to win the Mountain West Conference, but what I am saying is you better compete for the Mountain West Conference title, especially with the offseason recruiting he's done, which has been phenomenal. You have to be a good basketball team, at least good enough to compete in the Mountain West for a title. And I think anything short of that, being one of the top teams in the league, I think Harper's going to have to make a decision.
Yeah, and it's not tough to make the 64. I know coaches are going to disagree with me on that, but still, it's not you've had 5 or 6 teams, 4 or 5 teams every year from the Mountain West.
Right.
That go. So be in the top half of the Mountain West, and you're going to the field of 64.
Right.
That's not too much to ask from a basketball team that has the history of the.
There's no reason, Ron. There's no reason that UNLV shouldn't be as competitive and at the level of San Diego State. I'm not saying that UNLV needs to make the finals of the NCAA tournament. That was an unbelievable year that they had. But what I am saying is UNLV should be just as good as San Diego State consistently. And when Lon Kruger was coaching here, we had that. We had UNLV consistently top 25 in the country, winning Mountain West Conference tournaments, winning NCAA tournament games, making the Sweet 16. I'm not saying you have to get to the finals, and I'm not saying you have to win the Mountain West Conference every year, but there's no reason why UNLV basketball shouldn't be at least at the level of where San Diego State is right now as a program.
No, nobody has those expectations on the program from 30 years ago. And I've even gotten over a lot of that, okay? There's a lot of times, you've heard me talk, and it's like, sure. I see banners up there. I was here when those banners were earned. By the way, now I'm going to switch gears a little bit, but congratulations to Anderson Hunt getting the number 12.
Yes, Anderson, I just talked to him the other day. Anderson's a good friend, and I think we both would agree, Ron, Anderson's a great guy. He's a really good guy, and I know they had that event the other day. I think it was at Tark's house, right, where they had all those. It was
at Tark's house. I was there, and it was fun. I got a picture of Larry Johnson with 3 of the 2 top new guys with the Rebels.
Yep.
There, Dedon Thomas was there, DJ, along with some of the other players, and both Krugers were there.
I heard Webster was there as well. Yeah, Webster and a few other players. And
yes,
I just think that's great.
That was nice to see.
Yes, the fact that Larry Johnson is even doing anything like that is a good sign moving forward. And I know this for a fact because I was the one who got this going, believe it or not. When Kevin Kruger got the job, I'm the one that orchestrated Kevin and Anderson talking and got that ball rolling because, we all know how important that is. And let's be honest, the last couple coaches were not very good at, alum and being them around the program. I know Anderson's been at some practices, and it's great. Kevin is embracing that. His father embraced it. Dave Rice did a pretty good job with that as well. Marvin Menzies.
Well, he was one of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he was one of them.
and Dave's a great guy. TJ Otzelberger and Marvin Menzies were atrocious when it came to reaching out to former players. I'm glad they're no longer here at UNLV. I'm glad Kevin's here, but got to get it done this year, Kevin. And I think he would agree with that. And great job recruiting. We'll see what happens. The man, the myth, the legend, Ron Futrell. Ron, I appreciate you taking the time, my friend. I know you're at work and you got some video to edit, some Raider video, so I'll let you go.
We have our segment tonight. Don't go now. Don't sell me short on this. We are going to start the SSC, the Sports Supreme Court. You and me, and we'll be the arbiters of whatever is right and wrong. Now we need a third judge. Whatever is right and wrong when people should be banned for life from sporting events, and we'll make the right decision. We will.
Magistrate Futrell and Shapiro. Wow, that's got a nice little ring to it.
We have East Coast, West Coast represented, right?
I like it.
Yeah, East Coast, West. I'm the West Coast. You're the East Coast guy. We got represented. Somebody from the Midwest might be nice. I mean, that's where Chris Wynn comes in, or Chris Matthews comes in.
I prefer Chris Matthews because I don't want to have to take Tylenol every day when I'm up there in the courtroom. I like the idea, point. Ron. We got to continue this conversation. I like the idea. Hey, I'm going to let you watch
the robe.
All right,
ordering the robe.
Order those robes. Just make sure you're wearing something underneath the robe. That's all I ask. But Ron, you're the best over there at Channel 8. You and Chris Matthews are awesome. I appreciate the time. Thanks, Ron.
Thanks. See you.
Appreciate it. Ron Futrell, everybody. He's awesome. All right, that's a wrap. Also, my thanks to former Mayor Oscar Goodman. Tomorrow on the show, of course, we got Big Mo, Paul McKeskey joining us on the show. And we're going to have some fun. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.